¿Qué opina usted del gobierno canario? ¿Y de los ayuntamientos de la isla?
This is Oberon.
Was the lie, you weirdos. How the hell are ya? Let's just hop right in and talk about your Lord and Savior Baphomet, aka Goat Boy. You can get this freaky looking, devil worshipping creep by killing Eximus units in game. So his parts are virtually dropped like candy throughout the star chart. At first glance, Goat Boy does not look like much, but I can assure you that he is more than capable of holding his own against high level and completely annihilating everything lower. The first thing you might want to know about Oberon Kenobi is that his passive ability grants all allied pets a buff in health, shield and armor, including Spider Lady's kitty cat, Venerie. In addition, Oberon's own pet will be granted 1 instant revive permission. Alrighty then, with that out of the way, let's hop into his first ability. The Microwave Kamehameha. At first glance, this weird ability does not seem like anything special, but it will definitely live up to its name, Smite, once you understand everything going on here. So first of all, the radioactive goat poop will drop an enemy on its ass upon casting it on them, which is great to piss off dangerous units and make them susceptible to ground finishers and whatnot. The enemy target will also suffer an immediate radiation status effect, aka confusion, which means that affected punks will attack each other rather than you. This will always work as a method of crowd control, provided you are not the nearest target. So keep your distance and let the worms do their work. The damage of this ability is pretty negligible, however. It is noteworthy that it is dealt as 50% impact and 50% radiation damage, which is a super strange ass combination because of conflicting damage resistances of various enemies. You can learn more about that from my How to Damage series if you need to. But back to Smite. Smite will also cause the knockdown dummy to emit 6 Chernobyl balls. These projectiles will then seek out nearby enemies and target them, if they are within homing range. The interesting thing about these balls is that they will deal a fixed amount of small damage to a target, but additionally 35% of the original target's maximum health and shield, and that figure is then evenly distributed among the number of projectiles. In other words, the tougher the original target is, the more damage the resulting projectiles will do. So just like in a bar fight, always go after the biggest dudes first. And finally, the damn projectiles will also puncture proc the enemies they hit, which means it will weaken them by 30%. So essentially making them 30% less dangerous. I know, so far this is already pretty damn OP, but we are just getting started. Next ability. Burn Gully, Fukushima Edition. In terms of logic and physics, this ability makes about as much sense as these shoes. Seriously, what the hell are those? Honestly, if extraterrestrials would visit your planet and discover these freaky looking shoes, I would not be surprised if they would instantly destroy planet Earth.
There is only one course of action.
But back to Goat Boy. Oberon essentially radiates the floor in front of him, which somehow spawns radioactive vegetation. I do not know what you humans learn in your stupid schools, but last time I checked, Earth's plant life required mostly water and sunlight, and not radioactivity. But fine, whatever. Anyway, hollowed ground is pretty neat for a number of reasons. For one, it will spawn in front of you and at an angle of 180 degrees. You can increase the angle to form a full circle around Oberon if you modify for 235% range. But that's a different story for a different video. This weird patch of radioactive grass will deal minimal damage over time to idiots that decide to pass through it. Additionally and more importantly, it has a 15% chance to cause the confusion proc twice every second, which can also be increased by modifying for more strength if you so desire. The best thing about this however is that it will remove all negative status effects from your warframe and allies as long as you are standing on it. Which means, no more bleeding, no more corrosive procs, no more infested toxin procs and all that other nasty jazz that kills you very easily. Essentially, hollowed ground will make you and your team way harder to kill. Provided your skinny-fingered, leg-day skipping teammates do not run all over the place like they ain't got no sense. You can also stack up to 4 instances of hollow ground and each will deal its full damage over time. In the heat of battle, you may want to keep this ability on most of the time and spread out across a wide area to help your soft ass to stay alive. If you are running with default range like me, I highly recommend casting this ability sideways in narrow areas to cover more ground and force enemies to expose themselves to the effect for longer. Next ability, damn it. Knockoff Trinity Iron Skin Hybrid. This ability is fairly straightforward. Upon casting, this fairy lord will emit a wave that will do 2 things. 1. It will heal allies by 125 health the moment the pulse hits them, and 2. Charge them with an everlasting heal over time each second. You can increase that with strength modifications. Since Oberon is the center point of this ability, the buffs to him will immediate. Here is the catch though. The pulse will not travel out forever. Which means that if you as an Oberon do not catch your teammates in the initial pulse, they will not gain the healing buff. So sucks to be my guess. The tricky thing about this ability is how your energy is drained while active. Each ally, including companions and sentinels, will drain your energy slowly, even if they are fully healed and regardless of range. So you will need to keep an eye on your energy pool at all times or be an antisocial bastard and not buff anyone but yourself. One more combo you need to know. If you, or a teammate is affected by this ability, you can gain a buff and armor by stepping on Oberon's radioactive lawn.
Get off my lawn.
It does not matter how far away the grass is in relation to you or the Oberon. If you are under the effect of renewal and touch the grass, you'll get the armor buff. If you step off of the plutonium garden, the armor buff will be retained for 20 seconds depending on your modification. If you like using companions with blink armor, then your companions will actually gain 2 times the armor buff. One from themselves and one from Oberon's armor link mod. Generally, it is a good idea to keep this ability on during hot combat situations and try to always hit all team members at once so everyone has the benefits. Especially the squishy teammates. So buffing 3 rhinos with this is kinda pointless. Actually never mind. Unarim and rhinos will die either way. Yuvu. Moving on. Magneto Jr. This ability is arguably one of the most satisfying abilities in game. Back in my noob days, I had a lot of fun with this. Oberon picks up enemies in range and then violently slams them into the ground. If that is not savage, then I do not know what is. Enemies slammed into the ground will take pretty decent damage. They will suffer additional damage if they were previously affected by radiation status. So casting Smite on them first, or letting them walk over your radioactive garden or simply casting Reckoning on them twice will increase the damage the ability will do. If an enemy is killed by this brutal attack, there is a small chance they will drop health orbs. That's fine and dandy and all, but in late game you will no longer be able to kill high-level enemies with this ability. So building towards it with strength and health conversion is not necessarily worth it in my opinion. But do whatever the hell you want. But you should know that when casting on enemies that are standing on radioactive grass, they will have 30% of their armor removed permanently, which you can modify to strip all armor completely. But that's a different story. Should an enemy survive the ground slam, they will emit a flash of light that will blind nearby enemies for 4 seconds. These blinded enemies behave exactly like Excalibur's blind ability, which means that they become susceptible to finisher damage, which is a way better strategy to follow if you intend to actually kill everything. Now that is just about all there is to know about Oberon. I must tell you something about him that you might not want to hear. But Goat Boy is a really strong all-rounder warframe. He is much like Volt in that sense. It is easy to build him horribly despite being fairly easy to understand. You can also build him toward any extreme and it will work nicely. So if you have Oberon, but you somehow cannot seem to get the hang of him, then it is not because he is a bad frame, but more so because you suck as Oberon. Personally, I do not play this funny-looking cow frame much, but when I do, I prefer a user-friendly all-rounder build that will get the job done. So here it is. As always, you can use this as a rough guideline to get started and then change it to your liking. I like to use quick thinking in the renewal augmentation. What that does is it stops you and allies from dying if you are under the influence of renewal. Which works nice with quick thinking since that will stop you from dying as well. This works surprisingly well and does therefore not require more health. But feel free to play around with it. In conclusion, when playing Oberon, you can either be a jack of all trades, or just a regular jackass. Now like and subscribe to this shitty channel. And fuck off.